Profile. Let's go ahead and get started. First, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Dana, and I am a freelancer just like all of you. I'm a marketing professional, and I focus on brand strategy. I've been a full-time freelancer for 6 years and Upwork top rated for more than 2 years. I'm a San Diego native and also the San Diego Upwork Ambassador, which means I host events here in town to help freelancers be more successful in their career. And I am also the owner of a rescue dog named Barley that happens to hate the mailman. So if you hear a faint barking in the background of this webinar, don't worry, everything is okay. It just means that the mail has arrived. Enough about me. What will we cover today? We are going to start by talking about the benefits of a great profile and why your profile matters. Then we're going to take a deep dive into the profile features that Upwork offers. And then we're going to give you a few tips for reviewing your own profile and making it the best that it can be. So let's get started. Part 1, what are the benefits of a great profile and why does it matter? To start, we'll give you an insider tip. The majority of job posts on Upwork from enterprise, meaning big clients, are private and invite only. So this means that there are people that are looking at your profile that you might not even realize are looking at it. So this is why a profile is important. You want to make sure that you're putting your best foot forward and that your profile is in the best shape that it can be. Next is matching. Having a complete and strong profile helps to pair you with clients. It'll increase your visibility in search and help you attract clients that are a good fit. A good profile also helps you stand out from the crowd. When a prospective client is reviewing all of the applications to their project, they're judging you on the information in your profile along with what you've written in your proposal. So if your profile is incomplete or full of typos, there are other freelancers who will probably win the project over you. All right, so that's why a profile is really important. So let's talk about now how you can make your profile be its best. We're going to start with the photo. The photo is really important. It helps to remind the client that you are a real person behind this profile that you have on Upwork. And it also helps to instill trust and professionalism. So there's some tips here for how you can pick the best photo. You want to make sure you have good lighting and a plain, simple background. You should be wearing professional attire. It should be close up, showing your face with a friendly, welcoming expression. Eye contact with the camera helps, and also make sure that it is a clear picture that's in focus, a high resolution, and well cropped. So also a fun note for you here, color pictures do better than black and white. So while you may think that the black and white photo is more flattering, the color photo is probably going to grab you more attention. So always go with the color photo over black and white. And if you look at the examples that we have here on the slide, the pictures in the left-hand column are professional. They have the nice clean background, clear lighting, looking directly at the camera with a nice smile. These are great Upwork profile pictures. The photos on the right-hand side are still great pictures, but are probably better suited for social media or another purpose that's more personal and less professional. If you're unsure about how your profile photo looks, we have a good resource for you. It's a website called photofeeler.com. So that is PHOTOFEELER upworker.com. And it is a free service where you can upload your headshot and then you will get comments from people about what they think about it. So it helps you figure out which photo to choose. Next, we're going to talk about your title. So you can see from our examples here, you have your headshot, your name, and then the next thing that shows is your title. It's the first thing that clients read, and it's part of your first impression. So it's really something that's worth your time and thought. You want to have a title that is simple and succinct and summarizes your expertise. You want to be original and creative. You want to include relevant skills and maybe even what type of projects you're seeking. But you also want to keep it focused to generally less than 10 words. So this takes some figuring out to get the title that really works best for you. When you're thinking about creating your title, you want to think about your skills, but you also want to think about how you actually imply those skills and include that. For example, a customer support specialist could put their title as customer support specialist, or they could include things like help desk support, ticket support, live chat, email support. Whatever your specific focus is, you can help to include those in your title. Another thing you want to do is think about searchable keywords. So when clients are looking for you, what types of things are they searching for? And this you can figure out by looking at the job posts that are out there and see what people are looking for and help try to reflect that in your title line. The next section of the profile we're going to talk about is your overview. So this is this big space where you have a section to write about yourself. So first off, this is not a resume. There is a section of your profile for your work history and past projects. So the resume portion is really taken care of in your profile. This overview section is about you and what it's like to work with you. This is a really great space to make yourself stand out to clients. So also you want to think back to this last slide that showed the search results of what clients see when they're searching for freelancers. And in the last slide, you will notice that underneath the title, the first sentence of your overview also shows up in search. So that first sentence is really important, and it needs to back up what you've set as your title. So you want to start with clear, relevant information about your primary skill sets and expertise. You want to match your overview with your overall profile expertise. Again, originality and creativity are always good things. And you want to have a focus on how you can help clients achieve their goals. Another thing to think about with this overview is making it easy to scan and read through. So sometimes clients are reviewing a lot of different profiles, so you want to make it easy for them to digest all of the information. So if we look at our example here from Fred, he actually starts off his overview with a testimonial, which if it's the right testimonial that speaks to your skills and is a positive reference of how you work with a client, that can be a great way to start off your overview. You'll also notice with Fred's overview here that he's used some bullet points. He has things broken into sections and paragraphs. In my personal opinion, I think he could also add a few headers or titles to some of his sections that would make it even more easy to digest quickly. Lastly, you want to also think about keywords here in your overview. You want to think about what clients are searching for and even what type of clients you want to work with. You also want to make sure you proofread this section, maybe have someone else take a look at it, because you really want to make sure that this is grammatically correct, free of typos, and a great representation of what you do. And the final note for this section is that you don't want to include any contact information such as your email address, phone number, or Skype ID. Those are not allowed in your overview section. You really want to keep your communications within Upwork as much as possible because that helps keep you protected and safe. So that's the final note for here. Next, we're going to talk about skill tags. The skill tags are a list of skills that reflect your expertise and can back up your other profile sections. You can list a maximum of 10 relevant skills, and you can reorder the skills according to your primary skill sets. So you can put your strongest skills up front and your lesser ones towards the end. You can update your skill tags at any time. So as you develop new skills, you can remove old ones or add new ones. And also, if a skill that you want to list is missing, you can suggest it. So this is another area where you want to think about how clients are talking about the projects that you want to do, what keywords they're using, and how they can find you. So another good example is clients searching for a graphic designer or a designer often search for the type of design. So UX, UI, web design, something like that, rather than the tool set like Photoshop or Illustrator. So you can see with the skills example that we have here, they have logo design in there, and then they also have Illustrator and Photoshop, but they're a little bit further down the list of skills because the presentation design, presentations, logo design, those are more the terms that clients are searching for. The next section we're going to talk about is the video. So this is available to you on your Upwork profile. You have a section to include a short intro video. And you can think of this as a commercial for you. Generally, you want to make this video 30 seconds or less. And a great way to get started is to create a script. A few things you can think about including in an intro video is a short introduction about you. Who are you? What services do you offer? You can talk about objectives. So what type of roles or projects or clients are you looking to work with? You can mention some of your career highlights, experiences that led to your expertise, and then end everything with a conclusion, a call to action, maybe invite them to look at your profile, or just simply say thank you for watching your video. So after you've got your script together, get ready for the shoot. You want to practice your script, and then you want to frame up your shoot. So with our video example with David here, you can see that he's positioned himself a little bit off center in the frame. He's a little bit more towards the right-hand side of the screen. So that can help give you a little bit more professional look. He's got some professional attire on. And then I also want you to note the background of his video. It's not a professional fancy background, but it is clean and clear and just not distracting. So this doesn't have to be in a professional studio or something fancy, but just think about what's behind you. You're not going to want anything flashing, moving, blinking. Just kind of a clean, basic background is going to be best. Make sure the shot is in focus. You're all ready to go. Go ahead, shoot your video, review it, and then publish it. So the last note here is that a profile video is not a substitute for a complete profile. This is merely an addition to help you stand out in the marketplace, but you're definitely going to want to complete all of the components of your profile and then add a video if you would like. This is not a substitute for your full profile. The next section we're going to talk about is another really important one, your portfolio. So if you are a visual profession, if you're a graphic designer or a web designer, it's pretty easy to pull together a portfolio. You have lots of pretty pictures and screenshots that you can share. But even if you're not in that visual field, there's still many ways that you can showcase your work. And Upwork gives you some great templates for how to do that. So one of the best ways is through case studies. You can tell your story through projects and showcase your expertise visually and in words. You can upload a portfolio piece for each service and kind of provide some backup for your skills. You can add your relevant and most representative work samples. You can provide details for each portfolio item, including the skills you used, a description. You can even link it to a specific contract in Upwork if you'd like. And you can update your portfolio as often as you like. So you would want to update it regularly. One note here is to make sure that if you are going to post something that was from work that you did for a client, make sure you get that client's permission first. So this can actually be a great way to close out your projects. So when you're finishing up a project, tell the client thank you, let them know that you're available for future work, and ask if you can share a sample of the work that you did in your portfolio. So another insider tip here is that profiles with portfolios get more views and more high quality job invites. So it shows that you're professional, even if you're new to Upwork and you don't have that Upwork history to speak for you. Putting together a really comprehensive portfolio can be a great way to help you get that first traction on Upwork. So you're going to want to leverage your portfolio creatively for different skills. So this is, again, what I was talking about, how it can be harder to put together a portfolio if you don't have real visual pieces of information to share. So we talked about the case study on the last slide, but you can also share snippets or excerpts of your work. You can share screenshots. Just make sure that you're not exposing anything proprietary or something like that. You can talk about results or maybe create a visual representation of results like a graph or a chart. You can include testimonials. Again, just make sure you're getting permission to use those testimonials from your clients. And you can include samples of work. And if you don't have any samples of your work, make some. There is no rule that says the things in your portfolio have to be work done for a client. They also don't have to be work done on Upwork. If it is your work, you are welcome to showcase it in your portfolio. Just be honest about how you created it and what the work was for. The next section we're going to talk about is the employment history section. So this is helping your clients understand your background. And there's two components to this. You have your past work history, where you can include employment history on and off Upwork. Again, if you don't have any Upwork experience, if you're new and just getting started with Upwork, putting your employment history here or even highlighting some larger projects you've done is really important to help bolster your profile. You can add descriptions about responsibilities and examples of accomplished projects, and you can create separate entries for more impressive or long-term projects. So this is a great way if you don't have any past work history, if you're just out of school and getting started, or if you've always been a freelancer, you can still use this section to highlight some of your bigger or more long-term projects. And doing that here really shows commitment and that you can see a project through to completion. Also, again, helps to reinforce those skills that you're listing in your title, in your overview, and in your list of skills. You can also include here your education. So you can include details for relevant educational items like your degrees, or you can also add school projects, online courses, mentorship programs, awards, anything notable about yourself. There's also a certificates and other experiences section. So you can list certifications that you have. You can also consider adding an English certification if you're not a native English speaker. You can also add other experiences, so research projects, informal education, competition, interests, anything like that. It's a great place for it in this section. Next, we're going to talk about the ID verified badge. Some of you out there may have this already. This is going to be rolled out in stages through Upwork. So it's not something you can request. It's something that you will get the opportunity to take advantage of. And what this is this is an effort to create a marketplace of trust on Upwork. And what this does is that little blue check mark you can see next to Lena's name there. That means that you have been ID verified by Upwork. And what this process looks like is that eligible freelancers need to pass 2 stages of verification. You need to show proof of a valid government-issued ID and complete a short video verification call with someone from Upwork. So just to clarify, this does not mean that your government ID will be publicly available on Upwork. This is an internal process within Upwork where you're just verifying with them that you are who you say you are, and then you get the little blue check next to your name. So there's no publishing of your ID or anything like that. It's just a communication to potential clients that Upwork has verified that you are who you say you are. Okay, now we're going to start talking about setting your rate. This is really important, and this is a space where we often get a lot of questions. So we're going to spend the next couple of slides talking about rate and how to figure it out. Clients view your rate as an indicator of experience level, and they're not always looking for the cheapest. We know Upwork is a huge marketplace, and there's a huge variation in what freelancers charge, but that means there's a space for everyone at every rate, and there's clients looking for freelancers at every rate. So let's talk about how you figure out what that rate needs to be for you. So one of the things you want to do is you want to calculate your costs in freelancing and make sure that they're covered in your price. So as a freelancer, you are self-employed, and that comes with additional costs, like maybe your equipment, your internet, your office space, or there's a lot of things to think about that you're responsible for as a self-employed freelancer. So generally, you're going to want to charge 2 to 5 times what you would in a traditional job. You also want to set your rate according to your skills and your experience. You can also look at what other freelancers with similar skills and experience are charging. And you can also change your rate at any time. So you can test different rates and see how clients respond. Also, a note about price. If your price is too low, you won't attract the best clients, but if it's too high, you might alienate some of the clients you're going after. So one of the techniques that we hear really often is that freelancers will do all of their research here, looking at their own costs they need to cover, looking at what others are charging, and figuring out where they really want to be in this pricing world. And they might set their price just slightly lower than where they want to be, just as they gain momentum on Upwork, get some reviews, get some history, and then raise that price as you get more reviews, more history, and get stronger in your skill sets. So just remember that you can change that price at any time and step it up as you move along. So setting your profile rate is just one part of the equation. The next part is you have to think about what to actually bid when you're applying for projects. So let's talk about setting your bid rate. There's a couple of cues you can look at within the posts to figure out what you should charge. So you can look at the client's budget rate, the hourly rate range, the expertise level of the job, the turnaround time. You can also look for indications that the client might be more likely to prioritize quality. Quality generally equates to a higher rate, meaning they're not just looking for the lowest price. There's also some tags that you can take advantage of as cues for what the clients are looking for. If it says Upwork Enterprise Client, That means it's a big client. That means it's usually a big corporation, and that often means bigger projects and longer term projects. If it has the diamond and says featured jobs, the job may have a lower fee for you. So it may start at a lesser Upwork fee because this client is really excited about the job. And if it says plus, this means that the client paid to post the job on Upwork. So that means they're very serious about hiring and want to get the position filled and up and running. Another thought is the client a repeat client who already knows that you're delivering high quality work? If it's a repeat client, you may be able to justify a slightly higher rate or a slightly different rate. So just think about where they fall in your spectrum of clients. Another thing to think about is you actually can negotiate on price. And really what this means is that sometimes a client may not know what to charge or may not fully understand all the pieces that their project entails. So by asking a few questions and offering a little explanation, sometimes you can justify a higher rate. So feel free to quote a little bit higher price or the price that you think is right for the project and explain why when you're applying to a project. So here's a great example of just that. So you can see here where the client has listed their budget as $100, but once the project was finished, they actually were charged $200 for it. So here's another one, budget $100, but the project actually came out at $270. So these are great examples of where the freelancer made a good case for the higher rate, made the client understand why the higher rate made more sense, and they actually got the higher rate. So a lot of times it's this education process of helping the client understand what their project entails and understand what they should really charge. So here's a quote from one of the really successful freelancers on Upwork. And Danny says, if you offer the same thing as everyone else, you can compete only on price. To increase your rates, you need to be different and deliver more value than the average freelancer. So this can mean many things. It can be your skills, but it also can be the way you work, the customer service you provide, a focus on a specific audience or industry. The real key to success on Upwork is thinking about your niche and how you can make yourself stand out. And a lot of times the way to do that is to really focus in and think about what does make you different from everyone else who's working in your similar area. We all have something unique and different to offer. Part of this is just figuring that out and making sure that's represented in your profile. A few other ideas and things to consider to increase your earnings. You're going to want to develop your specialized profile, and we'll talk more about that in a few slides. You can raise your rates as you grow. Make sure you're adjusting your rate as you get more experience and expand your skill set. You want to make sure you keep your portfolio updated. So showcase why your rate is higher than however many months ago or than when you started. You can learn higher paying skills. You can leverage your current experience to expand into new areas. You could take a negotiation course so you can learn how to sell your services and negotiate with clients. And you can even upsell, which on Upwork, that means offering ongoing or related services to clients at the end of a project. So this again goes back to the fact that a client may not fully understand what all their project entails or fully understand all the services that you offer. So as a freelancer, when you're working with a client, if you're always thinking about ways that you can help them and that you can help make their life easier and mention those ways, oftentimes that pays off in more work. So that's the upsell. Just make sure that they understand all the ways that you can help them out. A couple of questions to ask yourself when thinking about pricing and bidding. Do you really need to offer that discount? It's very tempting when you're new and you really need the work to offer discounts because it seems like the easiest way to get work. But the fact is, sometimes you didn't really need to do that and you're just losing out on money. So test with your pricing to figure out what works. And there's lots of work out there on Upwork, so much work available. So try not to stress about it and really go for those projects that are a good fit and that will pay you what you're worth. You also want to think about avoiding clients that seem extremely price sensitive. So if someone seems like they're really focused on getting the lowest rate, maybe it's not the best project for you. And again, there's so much work to move on to the next one and find someone who will pay you what you're worth. Also think about, are you at the point in a longer term contract where you can suggest a rate increase? This is just like you would in a traditional job, just like you would go in and ask for a raise and justify why you deserve that raise. The same thing applies to a long-term contract. So if you've been working with a client for a long time, you can think about some of the ways that you could justify maybe a slight increase in your rate with that client. And then lastly, have you experimented with a higher rate to gauge response? You might be surprised by what you can charge. So tests are definitely worth it. All right, so outside of pricing, here are a few more overall tips about how you can make your profile the best it can be. So number one, proofread each section. You want this to be best foot forward, no typos, no grammatical errors, no spelling issues, that sort of thing. You want to update your profile regularly, especially as you learn new skills and get more experience. You want to demonstrate professionalism through timely responses, and this leads to your responsiveness score. There's actually a score on your profile that talks about how quickly you answer invites and messages. I will say here, the score is an aggregate, so if you miss one message and don't respond for 2 days, don't stress out. It won't totally tank your responsiveness score. It is an aggregate score of what you do most often. So if you're doing good work and respond in a prompt fashion, that will keep up your responsiveness score, and that's a good thing. You also want to keep your availability updated. So there's an availability section of your profile, and if you're going to be going on vacation, or if you need to take a little break and you don't want to have your responsiveness score affected, you can set your availability to unavailable. So that will let Upwork know not to send work your way. And then when you come back, you can update to available and you'll start being showing up in search and getting invites and that sort of thing again. You can also update your profile visibility. You can set your profile to private so it's not searchable. You can also track your reputation. So you want to check into your own profile every once in a while and see what your score is, see what kind of reviews and responses you're getting, and if there's any action you need to take on any of those if you feel that they're unjust. So another note here that's an insider tip is you can link to other professional accounts in the profile settings to increase your credibility. It won't actually show to clients on your profile, but it can help Upwork match you with the right clients. So for designers, you can include Behance, Dribbble, DeviantArt. For developers, you can include GitHub or Stack Overflow. So that's one section to make sure you're checking in the settings. And then also another thing to check on is to make sure you're not accidentally set to private due to inactivity. So I've heard this before where someone set up an Upwork profile, kind of started looking around, maybe got a job or two, and then got really busy and just went dark. So when that happens, Upwork will set your profile to private because you're not responding and they don't want a non-responsive freelancer showing up for clients. So you want to go in and check and see what your profile visibility is. And if you're back and ready to work, you can actually petition to get your profile taken off of private and be visible again. So that's something to check into. All right, I promised we would talk about specialized profiles, and here it is. This is a recent feature to Upwork, and it's really helpful and a good one to take advantage of. So what are specialized profiles? In the past, you were only able to have one profile that had to encompass everything you did as a freelancer, but many freelancers offer multiple services And so this is the way that you can express that. So with our example of Melody here, she is a designer. So she has her general profile that talks about expert graphic design. And she has a great title. So she's broken it down to the types of design she does: print, web, branding, PowerPoint, WordPress. But with her specialized profiles, she's taken these skills and broken them into a more specific profile, talking about presentation design or brand identity design. And with these specific profiles, you can show a set of service-specific profiles as opposed to the singular one. So it's a more specific way to market your expertise. Right now, you can highlight up to 2 different skill sets. And with those specific skill set profiles, you can customize the title, overview, and most importantly, rate for each service. So if you have a skill set that commands a higher rate, you can have a specialized profile for that, and then have a separate specialized profile for a different skill set that maybe has a different rate. You can also tag your relevant work history and portfolio items to specific specialized profiles. So this is just another way that it's helping clients to really connect with the freelancers that have the best skill set for what they need. Another example, just to help you understand how this works, would be if a mobile developer were to have 2 specialized profiles. It could be a mobile game development profile and a mobile app development profile. And again, maybe those would have separate rates, separate projects and portfolios tagged to them. Or if you're a design and creative professional, you might have a profile for video editing and one for 2D animation. So it's just ways, again, to split out what you do. And you want to think about the work you are best at and the work that you really like to do, and focus your specialized profiles on that. Another feature I want to talk about, this is another sort of recent addition to Upwork, is how portfolios display in search. So this applies only to people in design and creative fields for the moment. And what happened was Upwork tested displaying portfolios in search results, and it was a huge success. So this is now how search appears for all design and creative. So the way that this is set up is that if you don't have a portfolio and you're in the design and creative profession, this space next to your name and headshot will appear with just a blank stock, like placeholder, and that is not helpful to you getting work. So you definitely want to think about your portfolio, and the first portfolio item is what will show here. So that's the first item in your portfolio is what will display in search if you're design and creative. So you're going to think about the order of what's in your portfolio as well. So insider tip again here, portfolios equal 5 times more likely to be hired. And for design and creatives, it means 3 times the earnings. So that's how important portfolios are. Make sure you're putting some time towards that in your profile. So we've covered a lot of features in that last section. So now let's take a look at tips for how to review your own profile and perhaps make some improvements. So you want to review and analyze your own profile. Remember, you can review and get inspired by other freelancers' profiles in your category, but also remember to make yours original and unique. So I've heard a lot that people don't know that you can search for other freelancers. And the way that you do that is in that same search box where you're searching for jobs and projects. There's a little caret on the left-hand side. If you click that, you'll get a drop-down menu, and you can change it to searching for freelancers. So you can search for a specific skill set, or you can search for a specific name, and you can see what other people with a similar skill set and experience, what they're charging, how they've put their profile together, and gain inspiration from that. But just make sure that when you're coming to create your own profile, that you're making it original and unique. You can also ask your friends to read your profile and give you some feedback. Would they be excited to hire you? And also read your profile out loud. It's a great way to see if it flows well, has a nice rhythm, and sounds like you. All right, so you've almost made it to the end of our webinar today, and I thank you so much for your time and attention. Here are our key takeaways. Make sure your profile is about your clients. How can you help them? If you're always approaching a project with how you can help, that will lead to better results for you and the client. Be consistent with your strongest skills. So make sure it's represented in the title, your skills list, your overview, your work history. You want to make it really clear, again, the ways in which you can help your client. You can establish trust and confidence by completing all the sections. How would a potential client feel good hiring you and know that you're going to do a real good, comprehensive job for them if you didn't even have the time to complete your profile? You've got to complete the profile first. It's a great way to instill trust. You want to leverage all the sections of your profile to back up your skills and make you stand out. You want to be concise and straightforward in your language, and make sure to proofread and update your profile regularly. And so that's it. Thank you again for joining us today, and I hope you've got some helpful information. And I will say it again, there is so much great work out there. So get your profile polished up and get out there and grab those good projects. Good luck, everybody.